ready for Taika Waititi?
Taika Waititi is an actor, director and filmmaker from New Zealand with a unique and interesting directing style, straying away from the typical Hollywood expectations. Waititi noted, "If someone asked, 'What are your films like?' the best I can come up with is that they're like a fine balance between comedy and drama, and they deal mainly with the clumsiness of humanity." Growing up in New Zealand has encouraged his humour to be somewhat facetious, describing it as the comedy of the mundane. Waititi's films explore a common theme, some unadorned desire for an interpersonal relationship. This theme is evident in most of Waititi's films. In Eagle vs. Shark, Lily longs for romance but finds that Jared, the object of her fascination, nowhere near being able to provide it. In Boy, we see that Boy's desire for an amazing father clouds his evaluation of the poor one that he has. And in Hunt for the Wilderpeople, Ricky finds a mother after living his life without one, only to suddenly lose her. What makes Waititi's style so unique is his ability to bring humour to tragedy, light where there should be darkness.
And you know that if you're ever in that situation, there are always two doors to choose from. And through the first door, it's easy to get through that door, and on the other side, waiting for you, are all the nummiest treats you can imagine. Fanta, Doritos, LMP, burger rings, Coke Zero. But you know what? There's also another door. Not the burger ring door, not the Fanta door. Another door that's harder to get through. Guess what's on the other side? Anyone want to take a guess?
Vegetables?
No, not vegetable. No.
Waititi says, "When the atmosphere is tense and uncomfortable, that is when we feel the need to laugh most. The sort of humour I prefer and write comes from finding the lighter side of tragic." Two of his films come to mind that fit this balance perfectly, Boy and Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Set in rural New Zealand in the 1980s, Boy is a movie about a young child named Boy, exploring his life as he faces the sudden return of his father Alameen, played by Taika Waititi himself. As we see throughout the film, Boy is stuck between reality and the fascinations that play throughout his head to excuse the absence of his father.
He can dance as good as Michael Jackson. He's a master carver, deep sea treasure diver, soldier, the captain of the rugby team, and he holds the record for punching out the most people with one hand.
On a side note, Boy's little brother Rocky has to face the hard truth of his birth being the reason for their mother's death. The irony within the two brothers' fascinations being slapped with the truth of reality shows and emphasizes the balance of humor and tragedy quite well. Waititi has said, "Anyone who as a parent can relate to the idea of not quite understanding who your parents are or making up stories about them." Boy's whimsical fascinations and the reality of his father work together to emphasize and express the tragic truth of his past once it makes itself apparent. However, even though it may seem heartbreaking and tragic, it is in fact the opposite. We see things like imagination, failure, compassion, and ambition. A theme of forgiveness and optimism is something seen throughout most of Waititi's films. Hunt for the Wilderpeople is a film that follows the life of a young orphan boy named Ricky Baker, as he is fostered by the very eager-to-be mother, Bella, and the not-so-eager Heck. Ricky, being a child mostly raised in the city, finds it hard to adapt to his new isolated environment and lifestyle. Yet with the help of Bella's optimism, Ricky becomes eager to learn and open to a new life. Upon this change of heart, Ricky is faced with the death of Bella. Similar to Boy, Ricky has his fascinations ruined by the sudden reality of the world around him. Ricky, being the delinquent he is, makes some questionable decisions following these events, running into the wilderness of New Zealand only to be followed by Heck, putting them both in danger and having to run away from the authorities. Ricky's character is funny and endearing as he finds it difficult to adapt to his new lifestyle, despite the reluctant help of Heck. Yet within this comedic adventure hides a deeper meaning, a sad and subtle reality of being a lonely foster child. At the end of the day, the reality is that we're all losers and we're all uncoordinated. We're the worst of all the animals on Earth, and there's something quite endearing about that. Hunt for the Wilderpeople, like Waititi's other films, ends with the audience feeling a sense of optimism and hope for the characters involved. Taika Waititi's progress in terms of going from a New Zealand indie filmmaker to directing and acting in Thor Ragnarok is phenomenal. Starting out, his earliest works like Eagle vs. Shark and Boy were funded by Kickstarter campaigns. For the movie Boy, he even went around to local schools and asked if anyone wanted to act. This just goes to show how a big budget doesn't make a film great, ambition and determination does. This doesn't mean that Taika does better with a low budget, however. His most recent film, Thor Ragnarok, funded by Marvel Studios, was a big hit and was a big step up for Waititi in terms of production value and having almost limitless potential in what he could implement. Taika Waititi's films are heavily encouraged by the New Zealander humour, awkward yet endearing, a mix of comedy and drama reflecting on the tragedy in life and the lighter side that tragedy often keeps hidden. He never fails to acknowledge that these are both important, as they are what makes us human.
Cheers, kia ora, kia ora, kia ora.